Here is Corey Quinlan Taylor.
So several years ago, I decided to become a Peace Corps volunteer. And I know, right? And there are a few reasons for this, but the greatest reason was I wanted to experience Africa. You know, Africa. The cradle of humanity, the origin of jazz, hip-hop, and R&B, the motherland. And, I think a big part of that came from the fact that I had friends who could identify where their ancestors came from culturally, but I couldn't. So I have friends who knew they were Italian American. I had friends who knew they were German American. I had friends who were Hungarian American. And although I understood my ancestors came from Africa, I didn't know if I was Cote d'Ivoirian American, Ghanaian American, or Nigerian American. But you know what? I'm not Japanese. And I think another part of this is I wanted to kind of like emulate the ending of the ABC miniseries Roots, from the 70s, where the author, Alex Haley, he traced his lineage to West Africa, and he arrives in this village in Ghana. And, all the locals, they gather around him and they touch him and he sits down and he's like, oh, hey, that's Alex Haley, sit down, like they knew him. He belonged, And for me, I wanted that. I wanted that cultural awakening. I wanted that big, warm West African Wakandan hug, And so I filled out the Peace Corps application, submitted it, was accepted, flew over, had my Peace Corps training. And after I was sworn in, I was assigned a liaison, a Beninois, citizen of Benin. And so he took me in an SUV to my village. And as soon as I arrived, all of these kids, they start like chasing around the car and they're like getting up close and they sing this song to me. And I'm thinking, oh, great, Alex Haley moment, And they sang to me, Yovo, Yovo, bonsoir, ça va bien, merci. So I knew some French, but I didn't know the word Yovo. So I asked my liaison, dude, what does the word Yovo mean? What does this mean? And he's like, don't worry about it. And I'm like, okay. And so over the course of the afternoon, 10 kids, 20 kids, 50 kids, and at a certain point, it felt like 100 kids were just jumping around me, happy, singing this song. And I'm like, really, you need to tell me, what does this song mean? I'm really excited for this Alex Haley moment. And he said, well, the song means white person, good evening, it goes well, thank you. I felt my Alex Haley moment crumble in my hands and fall to the ground. I was devastated. And he saw this happening to me. He was like, you know what? We need to go to the mayor's office so I can introduce you to him. So let's go. So we arrived to the mayor's office and I'm sitting in the waiting room and I'm trying to figure out, why would these angels from heaven, these kids, say such a thing? Is it just like them teasing, or is it like part of the tradition, or what? And I'm overhearing the secretary. She comes to the office of the mayor and she knocks on the door. Monsieur, LeBlanc, il est ici. Which roughly translates to, sir, the white, he's here. And I'm looking around the waiting room and it's full of Africans. And I'm like, what does she mean by that? And my liaison's like, don't worry about it. Like, walk it off. I'm like, okay. So I move into my community and I'm noticing a pattern here, so whenever I'm riding on my bike, the kids gather around and they sing that song, and whenever I'm carrying like buckets of water from the pump to my home in the woods, the kids are gathering around and singing that song. And whenever I'm in the latrine suffering from diarrhea and vomiting because I ate some really bad food, I hear a knock on the door. And I'm like, c'est qui? Who is it? C'est moi, Antoinette. Antoinette's a local kid in my community. Qu'est-ce que tu veux, Antoinette? What do you want, Antoinette? Yovo, yovo, bonsoir, ça va bien, merci. And she runs off. I'm like, I'm angry. Okay, I get it. I'm a foreigner. I'm an American. But I don't want to be called a white person. I mean, no offense to you all, but I don't want to be called a white person. And so this was supposed to be my cultural awakening, my spiritual journey that you read about in literary fiction or see in the movies, you know. And whenever they sang that song, that took that moment away from me. And it was heartbreaking, you know. So sometime later, I'm on my bike, just bummed out. And then Antoinette, she's like revved up on the end of the dirt road there. And she comes out and she's like, Yovo, bonsoir. And I just get off my bike. I don't even use a kickstand. I'm just off my bike. And I go over to her and I say to her in French, look, don't call me Yovo. Call me American Noir. And she replies to me in French, American Noir, you know. And I'm like, merci, thank you. And she said, d'accord, okay. And so I send her on her way and I get back on my bike. And I'm thinking like a couple of weeks later, I'm coming back from teaching small business development courses to farmers and female cooperatives because that's what some Peace Corps volunteers do. And I'm on my bike and there's like a tsunami of kids. They see me coming and they're getting ready and I just feel my heart drop. And they're like, Yovo, bonsoir, ça va bien, merci. And I hear this faint, American Noir. And I just get off my bike. I use the kickstand this time. Get off my bike, go to a candy stand, buy a basket of candy, and I go over to Antoinette, and I just dump it all on her. And all the kids are like, what the hell? And I'm like, she called me American Noir. She gets the candy. So over the next couple of years, I train these kids, you know. Whoever calls me American Noir gets candy. Whoever calls me Yovo got jack squat. And not that I did it all the time, but I just did it enough that it kept the memory of my name in their heads. And so by the time my service was over, I felt like my community finally embraced me. I was having some semblance of a moment, you know. But when somebody from another town or another part of the country came and he or she like pointed at me and called me Yovo, my neighbors were like, no, that's not a Yovo. That's American Noir. Thank you.